What has offer alternate for better there? I waiting Saviour to leading, I wait for his arrival. Faithful he will comes to Jupiter, accommodation agenda. This are absolute hopeful of I ask to wait to be will. So they're ever every what we're hopeful with the kingdom, that clan has a problem from the yesterday before this future is no that transaction that before Melania no I can ask were but human is else other of else of incepting. The acceptance were where our situation there about what constitutional and where act ours to align our human closer no to closer. Sees that this aggression, assuming that human still need is empathy of being mind to the remain, to his own kingdom of who variant to our self-being or the war is just a fair went ever against must to alien world. But we don't want fight to against other well-being intellectual from any world.
Time is rule, is gift time. There, this rule of faith. For where there, this I want prefect rule, there do get every timeline. Know this, serene salvation is has ever, every line, that this piece, rule by how rule of time, I change, shape of time. As is time of time, shade is crawling time. How I watch, who in there, present time. Of time there. This rule of faith has to radiant. Not radiant, that this line. To I hate the grey of a faith. Else if life, in light change, the change, world of universe, time is rule, is gift time. There were act of time, there I am, a time, or I chase a doom, but if else time mine to time, and rule still by time, I am should more than human meet, still to be ever, every not to chase miserable, but fear against time to salvation, I in time else I are death of failure to Saviour being more to God, where wisdom never perfect the table of why I, in inside jagoda serene. But distance there were brief of his act, leading of about, his distance there, I am a time upon inception, is enveloped relative, in meanwhile, time distance brief, does resolve, is way to fill, is age by time. That short is every aged, he is.
I were returned to this in light move, or to move leaping were to is what were radiant by the touch of light dial by breeze dial is color. Where distance, where I grasp lead to distance, there is are else to act that do may different in light the origin of world as is. The dark crawling grasp is willing to know who is humming kubu wono, whom his, to ever every rodden. Yes, say is ever every raiden that are ever, for, why is raiden are the alignment to his world, that their falling kingdom or covenant. I'm not faithful at all. What? What floor problematic faith? So this is this. My family problematic. What? Or they're this problematic, they're this racket skip leading this class there? I can imagining like if where I am not faithful, what family or class problem? Hugh. Then else by trust of limit act. Forward to return trust. I guess reality triumph on to what the guy from the reality future, with ever every limit Bahasa world that I act. Eventually island Bahasa. Unconstitutional, where my class would has what think swim in a else investigation normal time in armor. This deep posing, this suit can swim Hugh. Helping who? I want to ask myself again if is great, else I don't have to wonder to go to the future. But before that, he asked the certain of active floor what behalf, and I want to ensure that this distance where there are in the beginning, why did today taste of my timeline, where there else, if a page of the blank objective failure guessing page of if a page that I fear I know or else picture problematic know that I not for that what I know to who. Civil future preceptive constitutional care. That I know I am guessing facially no expression humor about this would end. Happy full that ask, but reality not radiant to closer that I will. Does I worry how I go and I ate without last supper is enveloping what skipped to today. Hugh, this radiant, this radiant, this extreme, this radiant, back again, what else extreme? Or world of what? This radiant. This radiant, this extreme, this radiant, Is where why is why you are explain humor posing where here big guy how I trust the this guy or the future that is questioned to vanishing, where the closer what mine reason I act to be hero, but in feet of someone asking ever every method to the survival, else why I can be time forward trust by someone that's saying, hello I am from the future gone pose vanishing wanting to be trust, not failure to my speech of ever every constitutional guess. How problematic is your world, not my world? Who you're my big guy that still can spoke Bahasa from the origin of what constitutional if you are the man, haha dragging with worry, I ask, imp. But what floor reality of yesterday, a timeline prefect, know that how I can travel in, how is said to ask what possible then there? What real of than what is then again, that familiar to ever everything that I worry in constitutional, closer to radiant or gray in miserable hypothesis there, that can or cannot, we can crawling between multiple certain criteria. Like example, I want to talk about why constitutional of invasion to such today government country, there this know what accommodation is associate with the history of why point of my family kingdom, problem of salvation of, or what sovereignty being island problematic as the prefect like history of history in of else inside too salvation but floor of the Europe between ever every kingdom if about what were constitutional as can I be the savior of island were Ike and inside for floor of objective in multiple universe that that I upon phase step to understand else if we're about the this speech is speech about why trade and figuration in know what constitutional of Indonesia ever every island are not historic assembly. That I know general would say about the novelty of every ever whom to salvation army between Dutch where they kingdom before salitude of the British. That was, I believe, I have the assumption of my Raiden covenant as like Sir Arthur covenant problem to treaty. I think Bahasa is Bahasa as radiant. Example, hug, problematic aiming what aim to objective, that the people from the future are not or has, is act similar as radiant, similar to same problematic. Yeah, treat this trust like is humor but wrong. Wrong, radiantly wrong. Then again, this is gray closer, gray section. We're in this want to tell about if harmonious color are the again of action. Like is extreme gray, of the gray, in inside, critical intensity, this should taste like spoken to, tell about Bahasa is gray mistake, that I eventually in empathy of why the kingdom were close to pre-colonial, where I was never, ever, every world, is wanted to think why this is not fair to my family. From the effort of between should something you guys not telling the leading what colonial and constitutional. Say else if I ask you, do you guys know that gray of this miserable? Gray of line is world, that is, to much is like, is what can I think about the Japanized kingdom? Why invasion to Indochina kingdom? We're Batavia with Java today. Name that taste. My family problem is do get the getting ignore once is imperialism of other floor plan world. That Batavia is imperialism are why today's stupid Republic of Name, the group brief not aware with I worry that this gray is gray, closer to vanishing end of what picture? Picture in what shall we study in inside active? Picture, what picture is? Batavia Island are failure in many section that plan were plan of floor plan with to united of kingdom. Kingdom of Island, Batavia, my family kingdom of today, why miserable problem, getting worse, truth of trust, picture of Batavia Island. We're where Bahasa Island, that picture, is not ease is humor to conjunction. Conjunction in about the Hamingkubuono of Hamingkubuono as Rodden. Like Sir Arthur is Sir, where kingdom is Sir of trade, why pre-colonial.
There know that has been told.
Else has to different, but I were still hasn't mind floor or mind if why these political future or the constitutional is tag of an objection wherever every timeline in our investigation to forensic the difference of universinium that want or want a closer to universe syneomic one as the modulation, assuming the jagoda record, even to perceptual in inception of form of floor mind, to why such a approaching know that know, about how this gonna, in being in return, order that, or no associate history. History, 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 to be half universe of why Radin, alias how astronium.
Temporally is not. Humor, you better do. Get that humor to University Umic ideal of our consent why Astronium is reading the closer jagoda in ever Astronium concern the Raiden, alias to his ancestor kingdom, temporally.
Sure, for surely no constitutional humor in future. For sure that Radin, alias concern of we gonna act faithfully if else present. Gonna make worst there. This urgent investigation, guesses failure, or how mistake to build reality that Raiden alias wanted without creating our failure kingdom an era that aimed to aiming the world objective, but constitution of how conceptual in gonna incept way of short. Where to our act of hope? How you gonna find hope full that play condition?
Faithfully, 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 just what is just. I am leading find in inside, serene jagoda, serene. Do you recon any argument? I reading the record any is clue for mission that I eardrop on what constitutional that you are worry.
Alias. What Wilbur Astronium did. How making is roughly assembly can bow the vanishing piece if the hitman chase reason. How there is seems savior criteria, our any ever objective of building, adopting people for prefect to following, is civilization. Assuming what shape of universe, that shape of ever shape is going to change the egregion failure, gonna fare us.
Never mind, but we're ahead of our present, in what for the future of, else if like adopting or building to ideal of the universe base. No, that universe modulation I found, and next I want to try to stop. Place of a place, that we are placed to such traumatic I else, to change any ever, how place of a place, is a fair of traumatic, is hive for forgetting the fair, if war were where universe traumatic there, who is fair of pursuit. War traumatic, war traumatic, war traumatic, at fair of fair, who is fair, end of the end, else is fill is no, how difficult, that man or mind is, fair to war traumatic, traumatic at fair. There for every against any ever, every time are constitutional, is how is your colony. Time are constitutional, because who taste never blind. Then again, if this are such argument, time are what is a time, that mind, for how guild of that, is self-constitutional were, if you are human, or what else, if such human aid, when time leading telling, to be more, to what is constitutional of reality, but what is this rule of must to life form, then that were, why a gazant lead, is time to a constitutional of who human colony, vanishing at the end, time, always ever, for why time are constitutional, as the vanishing at the end, far as far ever far, they ask, the gazing self, looked vanishing, human build, failure, what civilization, colony of time is constitutional. There are again, as there are relative ever, there are in his colony, there again, the Raden of every ever, whom the Raden Hamenku, or time of his constitutional why, has you failure. Covenant, the Hamenku, Buono, the Raden Hamenku of island Batavia.
Reality. Problematic after fallow, you fellow, where that is gonna tell why yesterday here there. After mine that what you think, jagoda line timeline, trace that reality to. Into inside tweak pre-forward R's universe is gonna form in savior of if what fear. I failure that could you who know that hey our faithfully shall I know.
To complicate it at our side of problematic there again. We not yet were will be until I complete the legal journal about in any ever closer yesterday. Universinium, that is mind to mind, explain your captive aim to look objective is difficult unless else scope to our new brief forward to claim task that is accommodate the operative what today.
What shall you mind to know, or mind I do find this morning is limit else humor, if about only the weather. I had enough buzz of problem about what yesterday aggression fair rule order of life. Find ours fair is relative base is relative of is what you find. Heavy variant in line in aim grasping how complete report to claim our duty salvation. Even ace to what shall response reality. You tweaking a hand full of operative skills.
Yeah, but our scope timeline would yet went to AHAD too. There why investigation timeline to our reality are must scope that, is act to alias astronium that all we us can or not to do is against or what, or is problem we are just following ruin of broken investigation that is assuming has failed to our salvation in scope swimming between universe. Broken or not, to swimming in scope to other universe else ease. My hover bike are gonna giving is quadrant where about timeline of year of history in historic of why act our scope are for our future colonial savior. That adopting why we must savior our future without invasion of the outer galaxy aggression, when the failure of markup in the bookmark our kingdom treaty.
Know what is to what is kingdom, what are there are would is said no mind, what is treaty of before today present, are our claim investigation to prevent worse to know, as else if ace to ours, solitude are to each planet there in a system cross as representative, but earth is shadic with the yesterday pre-forward yesterday of present time, in where before pre-colony is brief to there. This issue, as what you think gray, we gonna shape is must to representative as confidence from EFI of ours, to swim the scope, how to savior our kingdom between Earth, then again other behalf Mars planet, or representative our union in Republic Cineamist, where the planet representative behalf other humanoid world is where 5,000 established as you know about the jagoda craft to be know as the aqua closis. Why today, still problematic meeting ours. Treaty to the scope here by the aggression. That ours Earth is struggle at meeting the fear being representative of the galactic of our Jupiter behalf. Establish mandatory of every ever of their fear. Fail of Republic Cineamist. That ask many as the galactic variant to their. Each such why claim gonna shape is aggression. Well,
Any what were so ever for every concern, how ever any for there are. What morning today for apparence the task across Universinium where closer to orbit timeline. In what brief you gonna went to, back return to alternate timeline. Years like yesterday, 2 weeks ago. Are is still same argument in where at year upon 1920 before issue. The other problematic in such are different of University Umic to Adobe their prospectus. Where alias astronium find the where morning to go for salvation duty.
I guess I go for do get the well problem, not to step well, cheers I go.
John Cairo, have where you are. In position lead, after wherever you are ready. I gonna short the link, established to your position. From here, the Jagoda pursuit ready.